Hey, what do you think? What are the director and Azu doing? Behind the hospital's glass window, a group of caregivers huddled together, curiously observing Azu, who was dancing strangely in front of Lin Chia in the courtyard. I don't know, is he performing a pole dance for the director? Asked one knowledgeable mysterious caregiver with confusion. Pole dance? What's that? It's something very new. The director has such preferences? In the courtyard, Azu, who had been constantly waving his limbs, suddenly awoke. The big windmill goes squeak squeak. Huh? Lin Chia, who had been singing enthusiastically, suddenly froze when he saw Azu abruptly regain consciousness. Azu scratched his head in confusion, looking around. Director, what happened to me just now? It feels so strange. Lin Chia pondered for a moment, giving him a complicated look. Nothing happened. You can go back to work. After sending Azu away, Lin Chia stood alone in the courtyard, deep in thought. Just now, when activating Soul Control Song, he clearly felt that with his soul strength he could control Azu for much longer, but for some reason Azu woke up. After thinking it through, Lin Chia could only come to one possibility. He must have sung one part off-key. This thing is more troublesome to use than I imagined. Lin Chia sighed helplessly. Looking at the situation, he would need to spend more time practicing singing. Otherwise, when on the battlefield, if he accidentally sang off-key, all the controlled souls would return to consciousness. Lin Chia didn't test that soul control song ability again, but directly returned his consciousness to the real world. Just then, the melodious ringtone of his phone sounded at the bedside. Hello? Commander Swa. Go to headquarters? Now. Okay, I understand. Lin Chia hung up the phone, put on his coat, and flew directly toward the night watchman headquarters under the cover of darkness. A few minutes later. Night watchman headquarters, Beijing. Knock knock knock. Come in. Zhuqing's voice sounded from inside the office. Lin Chia pushed open the door, walked straight to the desk and spoke seriously. Commander Zhui, is there an urgent mission? Our squad is on standby in Beijing, ready to depart at any time. No rush, no rush. Zhuqing leisurely took a sip of tea, pointing with his chin to the chair across the desk. Sit down first. Seeing this, Lin Chia obediently sat down, waiting for Zhuqing to speak. By the way, there's something I should tell you first. Zhuqing seemed to recall something. Heaven Palace has sent word that they're willing to lend you the Holy Spring as a reward for your achievements. This afternoon, Yang Jian has already descended to bring Jialon and the future goddess to Heaven Palace, so you can rest assured. Hearing this, a great weight was lifted from Lin Chia's heart. That's good. About the mission, there isn't one yet. No mission yet? Lin Chia asked suspiciously. That doesn't seem right. Shouldn't special squad missions be very frequent? Especially since we have the special function of walking in the mist. The situation is different now. Most of the great divine nations in the mist have been destroyed. The remaining Temple of Gods has closed itself off from outside affairs, and Olympus is also severely weakened. Great Xia is currently in a period of peace, and there shouldn't be any major incidents in the short term. As for some mysterious riots within Great Xia's borders with the Phoenix and Medium squads, plus numerous human powerhouses, they can be easily handled. Hearing this, Lin Chia was confused. If that's the case, then why call me here today? Although you don't have a mission, there are other things to do. Zhuqing handed Lin Chia a map with red markings. When you go back, tell the other squad members to pack up and go to this place. An island? What for? We've prepared a training camp there. Training camp? Lin Chia was stunned. Are there new recruits coming? You're not going to train new recruits. You're the ones who will be receiving training. Zhuqing took another leisurely sip of tea. Training for us? Lin Chia asked in astonishment. But, we're already a special squad, why do we need training? What will we be training for? Who will be training us? Is it Master Swordsman again? Faced with Lin Chia's series of questions, Zhuqing shook his head and calmly replied. It's not Zhou Ping this time, you'll know the details when you get there. Zhuqing was unwilling to reveal more information, so Lin Chia could only leave the night watchman headquarters with a mind full of questions. Training? For us. Hearing Lin Chia's relay of information, everyone in the Nightfall squad was bewildered. Special squads need training too? I've never heard of this before. Chow Yuan frowned slightly. I think training isn't a bad idea. Bailey Peng Peng chuckled. The last time we trained together was with Master Swordsman. Although it was tough, it was quite enjoyable. Better than staying here playing cards every day. And Qingyu nodded slightly. I agree, but I'm still curious about who will be training us this time. Someone who can train a special squad, excluding Master Swordsman, would probably only be one of those top powerhouses or a great Xia deity. A great Xia deity is unlikely. If it were a deity training us, our destination wouldn't be an island, but some divine mountain or immortal cave in Heaven Palace. So it's a human powerhouse? Let's just go and see. Since Commander Zhuo arranged it, he wouldn't mistreat us. Everyone quickly packed their belongings and left Beijing at dawn. Commander Zhuo, they've departed. In the Commander-in-Chief's office, a night watchman wearing a dark red cloak stood at the desk and reported quickly. I know. Zhuo Qing put down his pen. You may leave now. As the office door closed, Zhuo Qing slowly stood up and walked to the reception area at the back of the office. An old man in white robes with a white beard was sitting on a black sofa, holding a chess piece between his fingers, staring at the chessboard in front of him. Grandmaster. Zhuo Qing's voice brought Jiang Zia's attention back to reality. He put the chess piece back in the basket. They've left. Yes. Zhuo Qing was silent for a moment, but still asked what was on his mind. Is all this really necessary? Jiang Zia shook his head. This matter wasn't my decision either, it was decided by that person. Since that person arranged it this way, there must be a reason. We just need to trust him. Zhuo Qing's gaze fell on the intricate chessboard, and after a long while he sighed helplessly. On the vast ocean, a luxury yacht carved a white trail across the water's surface, humming as it moved forward into the distance. Bailey Peng Peng sat at the dining table on the top deck of the yacht, wearing sunglasses and holding a glass of champagne, feeling the sea breeze against his face, looking completely content. Chow Yuan forked a piece of beef into his mouth, glancing at Bailey Peng Peng's windswept hairstyle. Peng Peng, your hairline has receded again. Poo cough cough cough. Bailey Peng Peng's champagne almost spilled as his hand shook. He glared at Chow Yuan. What do you know? This is a symbol of male maturity. He leaned back leisurely against his chair, gazing at the sparkling sea in the distance. Besides, what's wrong with a receding hairline? After all, what woman could resist a rich young man who can drive a yacht with one hand? Chow Yuan raised an eyebrow. What about Molly? Bailey Peng Peng's right hand, which had been swirling the champagne, suddenly stopped. I remember you two used to be quite close. Chow Yuan thought carefully. Back then in Guangshan you almost. In Bailey Peng Peng's mind, the image of that bus driving in the rain and the silhouette of a woman in a yellow dress resurfaced, his eyes showing complexity. He remained silent for a moment. Past matters. Better left unmentioned. Bailey Peng Peng seemed unwilling to continue this topic and sat up straight. By the way, where's Chia? He's in the KTV downstairs, and Qingyu chimed in at the right moment. KTV. Bailey Peng Peng and Chow Yuan exchanged glances. What's he doing there? Doesn't he dislike singing? I don't know, he locked the door from inside, we can't get in. And Qingyu sighed. Chow Yuan looked down at the sea chart in his hand. Speaking of which, why is this island so far away? It's not on the border of Daxia and it's far from the mainland. Feels very remote around here. That's normal. If we were too close to land, our Jinshu might cause a big commotion and be discovered by them. And Qingyu turned to look at the horizon where the outline of an island was faintly visible. Let's go get Chia, we're almost there. As the luxury yacht gradually approached the shore, everyone finally saw the outline of the island clearly. Although just an island, it was much larger than Lin Chier and the others had imagined, at least the size of 2 prefecture-level cities. The coastal areas were mostly beaches and small hills, and looking deeper inland they could see the outlines of tall mountain peaks. Lin Chier and the others disembarked from the yacht, standing on the golden sand looking around. This place doesn't look like it has a training base. Commanders were only told us to come to this island, but didn't specify where exactly. We probably have to find it ourselves. Lin Chia closed his eyes, quickly spreading his mental power. With his current mental strength, covering the entire island wasn't a problem. A moment later, Lin Chia opened his eyes, his expression somewhat strange. How is it? Did you find anything? Bai Li Pangpang asked curiously. I'm not sure. Lin Chia sighed. Let's go take a look. Under Lin Chia's lead, everyone crossed the beach and headed straight into the depths of the island. The vegetation on the island was very lush, with almost no signs of human activity. After walking along the rugged path for a long time, they finally arrived at an open wasteland. Over there. Lin Chia pointed to a corner. Everyone's gaze followed and they saw a gravel downhill path built who knows how many years ago, emerging from the overgrown weeds. At the bottom of the slope stood an iron door covered in rust and dust towering firmly. What is this place? An air raid shelter. Bai Li Pangpang walked to the iron door and examined it carefully. No, this shelter looks like it hasn't been opened for decades. How could this be our training place? But on this island, apart from here, there are no other man-made structures. Lin Chia shrugged helplessly. And Qingyu stepped forward to the iron door, pinched a piece of rust between his fingers, and a deep gray appeared in his eyes. Judging from the degree of rust, it should indeed be a product from the 1920s with crude workmanship, and there are indeed no signs of it being opened for a long time. Theoretically, no one could live behind this door unless... And Qingyu looked back at Zhang Air, unless they're ghosts. Anyway, let's go in and take a look. Lin Chia placed both hands on the rusty iron door and pushed hard. Creak. As the iron door slowly opened, a deep, dark passage appeared before everyone. Do you smell something strange? Bai Li Pangpang sniffed the air suspiciously. Mustiness. No, it's a kind of fragrance. Bai Li Pangpang said uncertainly, it feels like some kind of perfume. You're imagining things. How could there be perfume in here? 7. Did you hear something? What did you say? Speak louder. My ears haven't recovered yet. Never mind. Everyone proceeded along the deep, dark passage. After walking for an unknown amount of time, a faint fragrance wafted into everyone's nostrils. At the same time, rhythmic music clearly came from the depths of the passage. Even Lin Chia, whose hearing was impaired, could vaguely hear something. This is unbelievable. There's really someone here? Chao Yuan said incredulously. As everyone continued forward, a glimmer of light gradually appeared in their vision. The dark, narrow passage suddenly opened up, and when they saw what was before them, everyone's eyes widened in shock. Holy shit! Bai Li Pangpang exclaimed. At the end of the passage stood a magnificent, glittering ballroom. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, their dreamlike light slowly sweeping across every corner of the ballroom. Golden tiles covered the floor. In the center of the dance floor, dozens of men and women dressed in suits and kipayos were embracing each other, moving rhythmically to the jazz music, looking completely entranced. Soft songs, elegant dances, beautiful figures swaying. It was dazzling to everyone's eyes. This is... Looking at this incredible scene before him, Chao Yuan struggled to find words. How could there possibly be a ballroom from the 70s or 80s beneath an air raid shelter that had been abandoned for 100 years on this island far from mainland civilization? Most bizarre of all, there were so many people dancing inside. If it weren't for the faint musty dampness still emanating from the passage behind them, everyone would have thought they had arrived at the Bund in Old Huaihai. Something's not right. Lin Chia's gaze swept across the people before him, his expression solemn. This place is very wrong. What's wrong? Let's not talk about other things first. When we were on the beach, I already scanned the entire island with my mental power and found no traces of any life, nor any power generation devices. Lin Chia bent down and picked up a section of decayed and broken electrical wire from the ground. Then, where is the electricity coming from? Everyone looked at the half-wire in Lin Chia's hand and fell silent. The rhythmic jazz music, accompanied by dreamy flickering lights, pushed the ballroom's atmosphere to a climax. Tall women in cheongsams with black hair and mature, refined men in suits held each other in the dance floor, dancing elegantly and passionately, seemingly completely unaware of Lin Chia and his group's presence. Just as Lin Chia and his team were about to take action, a figure in the dance floor glanced at the entrance and smiled slightly. It was a young man wearing a floral shirt and bell-bottom pants. He gently lowered the black-toed sunglasses on his nose, winked flirtatiously at the slender woman in his arms, then smiled and released her slim waist, naturally gliding across the dance floor to stand firmly in the center. With a wave of his hand, a vintage standing microphone appeared before him. He gripped the microphone with both hands, leaning his back slightly backward, chin raised, looking toward Lin Chia and his group, shouting loudly. New friends. How are you doing? Night Curtain team? What the hell is this? Bailey Pang Pang couldn't help but mutter. Chia, he seems to be calling us. Should we respond or not? Let's wait. Lin Chia's expression was extremely strange. This person seems to have mental issues. I'm not sure, let me observe a bit more. While Lin Chia and his team were whispering, the figure wearing toad sunglasses passionately shouted into the microphone again. Good. Let's welcome with applause the Night Curtain team. The lights overhead suddenly brightened and everyone in the dance floor stopped moving, smiling and applauding toward Lin Chia and his team. The applause was thunderous. Lin Chia and his team were completely dumbfounded. Even Lin Chia, who had killed mysteries, slain deities and experienced countless life and death crises, momentarily questioned reality in this bizarre situation. Amid the continuous applause, Bailey Pang Pang hesitated for a moment, then tentatively extended his hand. Ahem. Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. Lin Chia's brows slightly furrowed. He steadied himself, took a deep breath and walked directly toward the center of the dance floor. His deep red cape appeared like a pool of blood under the bright lights. The men and women surrounding the dance floor immediately made way for Lin Chia, retreating to both sides. Lin Chia stood firm in the center of the dance floor. He frowned at the young man wearing toad sunglasses with a faint smile on his lips and spoke solemnly. I am Lin Chia, captain of the Night Curtain team. May I ask, who exactly are you? Tisk, are all young people from your era so straightforward? The young man sighed, waving his hand lightly. The jazz music in the dance floor abruptly stopped. Simultaneously, the men and women crowded on both sides flickered and vanished into thin air, as if they had never existed. The young man extended his hand and spoke unhurriedly. My name is Li Qingqiang. Li Qingqiang? This name flashed through Lin Chia's mind, giving him a strange sense of familiarity. And that face, he seemed to have seen it somewhere before. While Lin Chia was desperately trying to recall, he unconsciously grasped Li Qingqiang's outstretched hand. At that moment his pupils suddenly contracted. He remembered. Li Qingqiang. The second commander-in-chief of the Great Xia Night Watchers. Li Qingqiang. In the corridors of the Night Watchers' headquarters, Lin Chia had seen his profile. After the first commander-in-chief Nia Jinshan passed away, he had led the Night Watchers for 9 years and was one of the earliest human powerhouses. But how could this be possible? Lin Chia quickly released the young man's hand, his eyes fixed sharply on the other's eyes. You're lying to me, Lin Chia said coldly. Commander Li Qingqiang died in battle more than 50 years ago. How could he possibly appear here? Who are you really? Thud. A light flashed in Lin Chia's eyes as he suddenly raised his right foot and stomped heavily on the floating brick. An invisible domain instantly expanded. The magnificent ballroom suddenly flickered like a malfunctioning color TV. The floating brick beneath Lin Chia's foot quickly receded like a tide, revealing a dusty and uneven cement floor. At the same time, the elegant crystal chandelier above his head transformed into an old light bulb with half of it broken. Terminus King's Law. From the beginning, Lin Chia had felt something was wrong with this place. After the young man appeared, he became even more convinced that this was all an illusion. If he wasn't mistaken, everything here was created by this young man's forbidden domain ability. Since it was a forbidden domain ability, the Terminus King's Law, which could forcibly subjugate forbidden domains, would naturally take effect. As Lin Chia expected, with the deployment of Terminus King's Law, the surrounding environment immediately revealed flaws. However, even with Lin Chia using his full strength, he could only dispel a small area around himself, unable to completely counter the other's forbidden domain. This meant that whoever this young man was, his strength far exceeded Lin Chia's. He was at least a human powerhouse. Seeing Lin Chia forcibly tear open a corner of the forbidden domain, the young man let out a surprised sound. Interesting. No wonder even the big brother praised you young people. Lin Chia was about to speak, but seeing that the young man's appearance hadn't changed at all under his Terminus King's Law, he suddenly froze. According to his theory, if everything around them was created by this young man, Then he must have also used this method to disguise himself as Li Qingqiang. But strangely, under the Terminus King's law, his appearance didn't revert to its original form. This was his original appearance. How is this possible? Lin Chia shook his head. Who exactly are you? I told you I'm Li Qingqiang. Li Qingqiang helplessly spread his hands. You young people, why won't you believe me? Your name is Lin Chia, first place in the 21st Night Watchers recruit training camp, former member of Team 136, current captain of the Night Curtain team. Behind you are Deputy Captain and Qingyu Bailey Pangpang Chao Yuan Jiang Air. Currently, one team member is asleep and another's whereabouts are unknown. It was that kid Suiqing who sent you here, right? Seeing Li Qingqiang report the details of Night Curtain so thoroughly and even mentions Suiqing's name, Lin Chia was bewildered. Now it was basically certain that this young man was indeed someone from the Night Watchers. Could it be, he really was Commander Li Qingqiang? But how could a dead person be standing here talking to them? Seemingly aware of Lin Chia and his team's confusion, Li Qingqiang shrugged. It seems that unless I broaden your horizons you won't believe me. Li Qingqiang narrowed his eyes and snapped his fingers forcefully. Boom. Bunt. On the other side. On the silent, desolate mountain, a fair-looking young man in snow-white clothes with bulky headphones around his neck silently gazed at the golden dragon of national fortune soaring into the sky in the distance, his black hair fragments fluttering in the wind. Suddenly, as if sensing something, he slightly turned his head to look behind him. A tall woman wearing a Sherpa-lined hoodie was smiling as she approached from afar, standing beside him. Why did you come too? Of course I was worried little Tang Tang would be lonely by yourself, so I came to keep you company? The woman patted his shoulder firmly. Tang Yuxing gave her a helpless look. Wang Qing, no matter what, I'm still your senior and boss. Could you not use such strange nicknames for me? It's awkward. I think it's fine, Wang Qing replied righteously. He paused, then continued. But this time I didn't just come to see you. After all, I'm also curious about what this Lin Chia whom the Marquis mentioned actually looks like. Tang Yuxing turned his head, looking at the golden dragon of national fortune soaring in the distance. Uncle Li summoned the national fortune. Isn't that making too big of a scene? It's actually normal, Wang Qing said leisurely. After all, without doing this, it would be difficult to explain our existence. Who would have thought that within the sleeping national fortune of Great Xia, a group of ancient relics who should have departed long ago are still being nurtured? Tang Yuxing remained silent, merely rubbing the bulky headphones around his neck, and after a long while he let out a deep sigh. Looking at the surging golden dragon of national fortune before them, Lin Chia and the others widened their eyes in shock. Great Xia's national fortune? Lin Chia had sensed the existence of national fortune before when rescuing Anta County from the mist, but compared to this skyward-soaring golden dragon, that was merely like a grain of rice. He never imagined that he would witness Great Xia's prosperous and magnificent national fortune in this form in this place. The golden dragon of national fortune penetrated through the ground above their heads, disappearing from sight, but everyone could sense its presence. It was like a burning torch in winter. Even through the thick ceiling of the air raid shelter, everyone could feel its intense heat and grandeur. Dragon's Eye. And Qingji seemed to realize something and quickly unfolded the sea chart in his hand. What did you say? Chao Yuan didn't quite hear clearly. This island should be the starting point of Great Xia's dragon vein. Look, if you connect these dragon veins, isn't the position of this island the dragon's eye submerged in the sea? And Qingji sketched the outline of Great Xia's map on the ground with his hand, marking and connecting the positions of several dragon veins, extending them continuously. The island where they were located on the sea chart was at the convergence point where all dragon veins disappeared into the sea, looking from afar like an eye inlaid on the ocean. Chao Yuan and Jiang Er were amazed by this connected dragon map, their mouths slightly open, while Bailey Pangpang, standing behind everyone, blinked without saying a word. The golden dragon of national fortune circled in the air before plunging back into the island. Strands of fortune energy faded and disappeared into the earth, as if they had never appeared. Lin Chia came to his senses and looked at Li Qiangqiang, who was smiling silently before him, and asked puzzledly, "What exactly is going on?" Li Qiangqiang thought for a moment. "Do you know how many special teams Great Xia has in total?" 5. Lin Chia answered immediately. "Our special team 005, Nightfall. The destroyed Team 004. Mask. 003 Phoenix. 002 Medium, and Team 001. Recalling Li Qiangqiang's words just now, Lin Chia seemed to understand something and asked incredulously. So the hero spirit you mentioned earlier. That's right, we are Great Xia's special Team 001, hero spirit, Li Qiangqiang said leisurely. Hero spirit. And Kinju kept muttering these two words, seemingly pondering. Team, hero spirit, is a special team composed of the heroic spirits of successive night watchman commanders-in-chief. And I, Li Qiangqiang, am the second commander-in-chief of Great Xia's night watchmen, a member of Team Hero Spirit. Li Qiangqiang extended his hand, pointing at the ground beneath his feet. Our function is to guard Great Xia's national fortune. Guard the national fortune? These simple 4 words at this moment seemed to contain endless power to Lin Chia and the others, impacting their minds. Lin Chia had heard before that Great Xia's national fortune was guarded by someone, but he never imagined that those guarding it were the mysterious Team 001 hero spirit that had never appeared in the world. But haven't you all died in battle? And Kinju asked puzzledly. How can your heroic spirits remain? Long ago, someone created a secret technique where, at the brink of death, one could refine bones and blood into instruments, merge body with weapons, and with some special methods and artifacts, create a vessel for the spirit to collect the obsession within the soul, what we call heroic spirits. Li Qiangqiang's voice was extremely calm. But such spirit vessels can only maintain a heroic spirit for 10 minutes. The only way to make heroic spirits persist is to place the spirit vessel in the massive flow of national fortune, using the power of national fortune to nurture the heroic spirits and maintain their existence. National fortune nurtures heroic spirits. Heroic spirits guard national fortune. They depend on each other. This is the meaning of Team Hero Spirit, its existence. After hearing Li Qiangqiang's description, Lin Chia and the others stood stunned, unable to come to their senses for a long time. Refining bones and blood into instruments, merging body with weapons? Although Li Qiangqiang described it casually, Lin Chia and the others couldn't imagine what price one would have to pay to achieve this. So, this young man dressed in 1980s style before them was the genuine Commander Li Qiangqiang. Junior Lin Chia pays respects to Commander Li. Lin Chia stepped back half a step, put away the End King's Law beneath his feet and bowed solemnly. I apologize for any offense caused earlier due to not understanding the situation. No need to be so serious. We just wanted to see what was so special about the legendary Lin Chia. Li Qiangqiang patted his shoulder casually. You're pretty good, kid. I have high hopes for you. The other members of Team Nightfall also paid their respects. Commander Li. Hey, don't call me Commander. I've been dead for so long. Great Xia's Night Watchman only has one commander-in-chief now, and that's what Qing, understand? As for me, just call me Gun Brother. Chong Brother. Lin Chia's expression was somewhat strange as the name sounded awkward. Not the Chong from Qiangqiang, but the Gun from Bang Bang Bang. Li Qiangqiang slightly lowered his toed sunglasses and smiled. In our era, there weren't many educated people and few knew how to write Qiangqiang powerful. Back then, the brothers in the Huaihai waterfront gang all called me Gun Brother. Simple and powerful. You can call me that too. You used to be involved in the underworld? Bailey Pang Pang asked tentatively. Li Qiangqiang held up one finger, waving it in front of him, and chuckled. Things from the past, better left unsaid, better left unsaid. After all, who hasn't had their reckless youth, right? Lin Chia looked around and asked curiously. Lazy. Brother Gun, where are the other members of the Hero Spirit Squad? Oh right. Li Qiangqiang seemed to remember something, his voice stretching over several notes, the smile at the corners of his mouth growing more pronounced. They asked me to tell you that they need to guard the national fortune and can't get away, but you'll have a chance to meet them later. As soon as Li Qiangqiang finished speaking, he lowered his voice, pulled down his toed sunglasses slightly and winked. However, I can secretly tell you that for decades we've been stuck guarding this place every day, bored out of our minds, almost going crazy. Can't get away? That's all bullshit. Some of them are shy, some are putting on airs, too embarrassed to interact with you young successors, so they pushed me out to be your chief instructor, but I bet they're all in different places on this island right now, secretly watching us. Hearing this, everyone involuntarily looked around, their expressions somewhat strange. Anyway, welcome to the Hero Spirit Base. In the coming days I'll be your chief instructor, leading your training. Li Qingqiang waved away the magnificent old dance hall in front of them and pointed to a dark lightless air raid shelter nearby. This is your dormitory. Dormitory. Bailey Pang Pang stared at the dilapidated space covered in cobwebs and mold, his eyes widening. This place has no water, no electricity, no ventilation, not even a bed. How can anyone live here? Li Qingqiang replied nonchalantly. We're all hero spirits, we don't need to sleep normally, so naturally no one maintains this place. For such minor issues, you'll have to figure it out yourselves. With those words, Li Qingqiang, with one hand in his flared pants pocket, waved to everyone and instantly vanished. Bailey Pang Pang. This isn't training, this is wilderness survival. He sighed helplessly. Lin Chia's gaze swept across the dark air raid shelter, finally landing on Qingyu. Can you handle it? Qingyu pondered for a moment. Pang Pang, I remember you kept quite a few wild, electrical appliances in your free space, right? Yes. Without another word, Bailey Pang Pang, as if performing a magic trick, poured out a pile of items from his pocket, including but not limited to a solar electromagnetic stove, fuel generator, 42-inch LCD TV, water heater, barbecue grill, electric massage chair. Everyone seemed used to this scene, but when Bailey Pang Pang suddenly produced a brand new Mercedes G-Class, their mouths couldn't help but twitch uncontrollably. There was even a large red flower tied to the hood of the Mercedes G-Class. Wait, why are you carrying a car around? Chao Yuan couldn't help but criticize. It's about learning from experience. Last time when we were in the Anta County primeval forest, how comfortable would it have been if we had a car? Bailey Pang Pang smiled while stroking the rearview mirror. So, I went back and had someone buy me a car just in case. Seeing all the electrical appliances on the ground, Qingyu's eyes lit up, and he immediately nodded. No problem, give me half an hour. In the next half hour, Qingyu demonstrated to everyone through practical action what it means for science to change life. Disassembling parts, quickly reconstructing, one device after another that others couldn't understand continued to emerge from his hands. To increase the speed of modification, Qingyu even grew 2 more arms, his gray eyes like the most precise instruments, analyzing every item in his hands without a trace of emotion. A solar power generation system, a hydraulic backup power system, lighting system, ventilation system, smart home one-key interconnection. Before long, the entire abandoned air raid shelter was transformed into a modern residence, filled with technology and impressive work everywhere you looked. That should do it. Qingyu looked at his creation with satisfaction and nodded. Bailey Pang Pang, returning from his shock, suddenly gave Qingyu a thumbs up. Qingyu, you're awesome. Night deepened. Under the hazy moonlight, the desolate island seemed covered in a silver veil. In the barren open space, a bonfire blazed, making crisp crackling sounds. 5 rocking chairs were arranged around the fire, surrounded by used barbecue equipment. Bailey Pang Pang burped contentedly, lying in his rocking chair, looking at the stars in the sky and peacefully closed his eyes. It's been half a day since we arrived on the island, and except for Brother Gun's brief appearance at the beginning, no one has come to check on us. If it weren't for Pang Pang bringing complete ingredients, we might have had to go to the sea by now, Chao Yuan sighed, sitting nearby. Go to the sea? Who's going to the sea? Bailey Pang Pang quickly woke up. I meant going to the sea to catch fish. Oh. Bailey Pang Pang shrugged and lay back down. 7. Do you think the commanders are really watching us? Lin Chia was silent for a moment, then shook his head. I don't know. The hero spirit commanders come and go like ghosts, and even my mental power perception can't capture them. From what I can see, there are only the 5 of us on this island. Perhaps after training begins tomorrow and we meet the commanders, things will improve, Qingyu said. But I'm curious about what exactly the commanders want to teach us. I'm curious too, but since it's the commanders teaching, it shouldn't be bad, right? It's a shame Jialon and Zhuaigu aren't here. This is a rare opportunity, Bailey Pang Pang sighed. Hearing this, everyone fell silent. Jialon was still okay, although currently asleep. She would wake up in a few months, so there was hope. But Shin Qingzhu was still missing, and they didn't know where he had drifted with hell, whether he had absorbed that source essence or if he could even return. The last time they returned from heaven and hell, The heavenly court had already sent people to find Hell's whereabouts, but there were still no results. The divine realm contaminated by the clone system god had gained the ability to move and conceal itself. They didn't even know if Hell was still on Earth. Don't think too much, he's Shuaigu after all. He's survived so many life and death situations, he'll definitely be fine. Lin Chia picked up a can of beer beside him and faced the blazing fire, his face illuminated red. Night curtain. Squad will definitely have a day of reunion, not one missing. Clay. Everyone raised their beers and clinked them together above the bonfire. Not one missing. Night falls. A nice group of youngsters. On a distant hilltop, Li Qingqiang sat atop a huge boulder, leaning back on his hands, his floral shirt fluttering in the evening breeze. Dark toad-shaped sunglasses rested on his nose bridge, hiding his expression, only his lips curled slightly upward. Nie Jinshan, dressed in a Zhongshan suit, stood tall like a sturdy pine at the mountain peak, his gaze fixed on the direction of the bonfire, and spoke calmly. Do you miss them? What? Your brothers. Nie Jinshan glanced at him. The you from back then and the Lin Chia of today are exactly the same. The usually frivolous and slick Li Qingqiang fell into rare silence. He sighed, lying back on the boulder, his eyes beneath the sunglasses staring at the brilliant stars in the sky. After who knows how long, he finally spoke slowly. Old Nya, do you know what's the hardest thing for me since becoming a spirit? Loneliness. No, it's that I damn well can't get drunk. Li Qingqiang couldn't help but curse. This spirit body, no matter how much I drink, I can't get drunk. I want to be like these kids, able to drink freely until wasted, even if just once. Li Qingqiang took a deep breath and muttered in a voice only he could hear. That way I could see them again in my dreams. Nie Jinshan said nothing. He gave Li Qingqiang on the rock a deep look, then turned and walked away. After a long while, a voice finally drifted to Li Qingqiang's ears. Take good care of them. The cold wind swept across the silent mountain peak, and Li Qingqiang lay motionless on the boulder, like a drunken corpse. The next day, Lin Chia carried a basin and toothbrush to the clear stream, whereby Li Pangpang and Chao Yuan were already crouching, having finished washing up. Just as Lin Chia squatted down, he heard by Li Pangpang's puzzled voice from beside him. Old Chao, did you hear any strange sounds last night? Strange sounds. Like something really creepy, as if someone was singing in my ear. To the side, the corner of Lin Chia's mouth twitched almost imperceptibly. Chao Yuan thought carefully. No, I didn't hear anything. Bai Li Pangpang scratched his head and somewhat stubbornly asked Lin Chia beside him. Chia, did you hear it? What did you say? Speak louder. Never mind. After washing up, they returned to the underground air raid shelter to find Li Qingqiang wearing toad sunglasses standing at the entrance, curiously examining the new equipment inside. Brother Gun. Wow, you guys have set this up nicely. Is technology outside this advanced now? Li Qingqiang patted the automatic massage chair in the corner, tentatively sat on it, then jumped up startled when hard lumps suddenly rose from the backrest. Fancy, really fancy. Lin Chia spoke with an amused expression. Brother Gun, we're all ready. What are we training today? Li Qingqiang scanned everyone. Follow me. Half an hour later, Li Qingqiang led them along a rugged mountain path, finally stopping in front of an extremely spacious valley. Rather than a valley, it was more like a small basin surrounded by mountains. The flat area in the center was at least half the size of a prefecture-level city. With the broad view and surrounding mountain peaks as backdrop, humans seemed as insignificant as ants. What's such a spacious area for? Bai Li Pangpang looked around, asking the others beside him quietly. Probably some kind of chase exercise? Or physical training? Lin Chia pondered, but at our level we shouldn't need to train physical strength anymore. For those below the Chuan level, their spiritual power is relatively weak, and even when using forbidden relics the effect is quite limited, so physical fitness plays an important role in daily combat, and the lower the level the more pronounced the effect. But for Lin Chia, let alone just a valley, even going from the easternmost to the westernmost point of the island would take at most 10 seconds using somersault cloud. As everyone looked on in confusion, Li Qingqiang slowly came to a stop. Everyone, are you ready? He turned to look at them, a smile curling at the corner of his mouth. Ready for what? Snap. Before Lin Chia and the others could ask more, Li Qingqiang snapped his fingers lightly, and the scenery around them changed rapidly. The flat ground covered with weeds beneath their feet suddenly transformed into uneven stone-paved roads. On both sides of the desolate plain, buildings sprang up one after another. The sky changed, the mountains disappeared, and everything around became unprecedentedly unfamiliar. In the blink of an eye, they had moved from the island to the center of an urban area. Ring ring ring. The dense sound of bicycle bells brought Lin Qier and the others back to their senses. Numerous bicycles shuttled along the road. As far as they could see, almost everyone was wearing lake blue clothes and pushing bicycles. These young people walked out of distant factories, chatting and laughing as they moved slowly under the shade of trees. The sound of old radios broadcasting, street vendors calling out, distant foghorns humming, all reached their ears from various parts of the street. Lin Qier and the others stood by the roadside, looking at the bare vintage buildings around them, falling into deep confusion. Ahem. A light cough came from beside them. Li Qingqiang, dressed in a floral shirt and bell-bottom pants, perfectly blending into the surrounding environment, was smiling at them. Brother Gun, what's going on? Don't worry, this is a memory reconstructed in your consciousness using my forbidden relic. Li Qingqiang took out 80 cents from his pocket, bought a pack of cigarettes from a vendor, and lit one at the corner of his mouth. He took a deep drag, exhaled the hazy smoke, and continued unhurriedly. My forbidden relic is Sequence 048, Virtual Reconstruction, which can recreate scenes I've experienced in a specific target environment. Safety Chinyu thought for a moment. Scene recreation. Similar to watching a movie? No, it's not that simple. Li Qingqiang chuckled. All scenes I reconstruct are corrected, according to my cognition and memory. Simply put, everything here has thoughts. Li Qingqiang held his cigarette and pointed to the vendor who had just left. For example, that cigarette seller just now. In my original experience, I didn't buy cigarettes from him, but in the reconstructed scene I made the buying cigarettes change, so he sold me cigarettes based on my subconscious concept. Every person you see here, every event you encounter will change according to your actions. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's not like watching a movie, but more like an open-world game? Safety Chinyu pondered thoughtfully. Lin Chia seemed to remember something. Kunlun mirror? Recreating projections of the past that possess self-awareness. Isn't that exactly what the Kunlun mirror does? No, I'm far inferior to the Kunlun mirror. Li Qingqiang shook his head repeatedly. The reason the Kunlun mirror can give consciousness to projections of the past is because it completely scans the thoughts of the person in the mirror, and can recreate them according to their thoughts and habits. As for me, I'm just making these people react through my subconscious. Simply put, these people don't have their own thoughts. They're just controlled by my subconscious. Does that make sense? I understand, and Chinyu nodded. However, my forbidden domain has one advantage over the Kunlun mirror. Li Qingqiang's lips curved slightly upward. The actions you take in this reconstructed world as well as the effects you experience are linked to the real world. For example, if you climb some steps here, your physical bodies in the real world will also make the motion of climbing stairs, and you'll actually be able to ascend even if there are no stairs in front of you. Of course, if you're injured here, you'll be injured in the real world too. The same applies to death. This world is a false one constructed from my memories, but at the same time, it truly exists. These successive explanations left Chao Yuan and the others feeling somewhat dizzy, with a sense of partial understanding. You'll understand better after experiencing it a few times. Brother Gun, what exactly are we supposed to do? Li Qingqiang threw his finished cigarette on the ground and stamped it out firmly. This is a real event that happened in Huaihai City in the 1980s. In 1 hour, a disaster will erupt on this waterfront. Half of Huaihai City will be reduced to ashes, with casualties in the millions. Your task is to prevent this disaster before it happens and limit the casualties in Huaihai City to no more than 2 people. Where the source of the disaster is and how to stop it, that's for you to figure out. Li Qingqiang's gaze swept across everyone as he slowly continued. I'll tell you in advance, back then there was a special squad in the same situation as you are now, but they eventually succeeded in preventing this disaster, although they paid a certain price. Let me see if your era's special squad truly deserves to be called a special squad. Hearing Li Qingqiang's description, a glimmer appeared in everyone's eyes. Although they knew everything around them was false, this scene had truly existed in Huaihai City in the last century, And a special squad from that era had once stood here too. 1 hour, a disaster of unknown origin. In Chinyu's understanding, this was like a real game, and this game had already been beaten by someone decades ago. Now what they needed to do was compete across time and space with this shadow of that special squad that had succeeded back then. Facing off against a special squad from the last century was an experience Night Curtain had never had before. Once they understood this point, a spirited fighting intent ignited in everyone's eyes. I understand, Lin Chia nodded firmly. We can start any time. One last reminder. The world constructed from my memories isn't infinite. It has boundaries. The scenes already constructed are sufficient for you to complete the mission. So don't try to cross that boundary, understand? Li Qingqiang warned solemnly. Understood. Then, good luck to you all. Li Qingqiang smiled and waved at Lin Chia and the others, his form instantly vanishing. Lin Chia's group of 4+1 coffins stood by the roadside, gazing at the city that was completely unfamiliar to them, lost in thought. The members of Night Curtain were generally young, and the cities of the 1980s existed for them only in TV dramas and movies. Standing on the streets of this era, a strong sense of dissonance washed over them. Never thought I'd have the chance to see Huaihai of the 80s in this lifetime, Chao Yuan said with a wry smile. It's now 5:40 p.m. According to Brother Gun, this disaster should happen around 6:40, and Qingyu checked the time. Let's hurry. Lin Chia closed his eyes to sense for a moment, then spoke with resignation. Unfortunately, my mental power sensing can't penetrate the virtual world constructed by Brother Gun. Otherwise, with just a thought, I could instantly sense every corner of Huaihai. Qingyu, what about you? And Qingyu raised an eyebrow, looked down at his feet, and his eyes took on a gray hue. A few seconds later, beneath a manhole cover by the roadside, there was a faint rustling sound, as if something was rapidly gathering beneath them. My fish seeds can be used normally. Give me a little time and I can have eyes all over Huaihai, he said, pushing up his glasses. I wonder if this so-called disaster is caused by a mystery, or by humans. By the way, have any of you heard of similar case files? Lin Chia rubbed his chin with one hand as if remembering something. Since everything happening in Huaihai City now was real, a case that could cause such terrible casualties would surely be recorded in the archives of the Night Watchman headquarters. If they could get some clues from historical records, things would be much easier. Everyone shook their heads. In that case, we'll have to split up. Lin Chia's gaze swept across everyone. Huaihai City is large, and setting up Qingyu's fish seeds will take some time. During this period, everyone should spread out to look for clues. If you find anything unusual, communicate immediately. How do we communicate? Bailey Pang Pang scratched his head. Our phones and radios have no signal here. Jiang Air, can you handle it? The ghost Jiang Air floating in the air closed her eyes, and after a moment frowned and shook her head. No, our equipment can't transmit signals here. I can only control signal sources that already exist in this world. Only able to control signals that already exist here. Lin Chia pondered for a moment, his gaze scanning the surroundings, finally brightening when he spotted an electronics store on the street. Lin Chia quickly walked forward, pointing at several old-fashioned radios displayed on the counter. Boss, for radios please. The shopkeeper looked up at them with a strange expression. 260 yuan each. Do you have tickets? Tickets? What tickets? How can you buy radios without tickets? Just looking at how you're dressed, you don't seem like decent people. Go go go. Don't block my business. The shopkeeper rolled his eyes and waved them away reluctantly. Lin Chia and the others exchanged glances, their eyes full of confusion. 7 Night, what should we say? Bailey Pang Pang asked quietly. Lin Chia's lips twitched slightly as he looked at the radios and said softly, what can we say? The safety of the masses comes first. I'll count to 3, each grab one and run. 1, 2, 3. Whoosh 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 whoosh. The shopkeeper had just lowered his head when he saw several blurred figures flash past him. By the time he realized what happened, the counter was completely empty. Shopkeeper? Mountain Valley. In the open plain, Lin Chia and his companions were whispering quietly as they stealthily approached the empty void before them, their eyes glowing faintly. 1, 2, 3. As the words fell, the 4 people suddenly reached out, each grabbing what appeared to be thin air, then turned and sprinted in different directions. Puff. At the edge of the valley, Wang Qing, who had been curiously observing from afar, couldn't help but laugh at this sight. Ha! Onya, look. These kids are quite interesting, aren't they? Wang Qing's hand patted Nie Jinshan's shoulder, making a thumping sound as if hitting a piece of steel. The latter turned his stern face to glance at her, with a hint of helplessness in his expression. Keep it down. Kung Qiang is still concentrating on controlling the virtual reconstruction. Don't create distractions for him, Nie Jinshan said in a deep voice. Seeing this, Wang Qing shrugged sheepishly and looked around. By the way, why isn't little Tang Tang here? Tang Yuxing won't be coming, Nie Jinshan replied with some complexity. Today's scenario, it's better if he doesn't see it. As the two were conversing, a figure wearing a deep cyan robe and skirt slowly approached from the distance, with a hairpin on her head, looking like a court lady who had walked out of some ancient palace. Upon seeing this figure, Wang Qing immediately put away her smile and stood up respectfully. Elder Gongyang. Elder Gongyang, Nie Jinshan calmly greeted. Gongyang smiled slightly, nodding to both of them. Her gaze swept across the night curtain members running in different directions in the open space, finally landing on Lin Chia. Light flickered in her beautiful eyes, her thoughts unknown. On the bustling street, Lin Chia turned into an alley, and a magical light flashed beneath his feet. When he emerged again, he had transformed into an ordinary-looking young man wearing the same lake blue production uniform. To walk freely in this city, Lin Chia had to change his appearance with transformation magic, otherwise a deep red cape would be too eye-catching on the street. Besides, doing this could also avoid some trouble, like the electronics store owner cursing and chasing after him. After shaking off the store owner, Lin Chia left the crowd and climbed up a nearby tall building, standing on the roof to look into the distance. Unable to use his mental perception, Lin Chia could only survey the terrain in this most primitive way. Pale cyan aurora fell from the distant clouds like a curtain, covering the edge of the city in his view. The busy streets and rushing crowds gradually disappeared into it, as if another world connected behind the curtain. So that's the boundary of the virtual reconstruction. Based on Lin Chia's impression of Huaihai City, this reconstructed city before him was only about 2/3 the size of the real Huaihai City. Within the pale cyan aurora, flowing rivers poured out continuously, running through the city's most prosperous districts like ribbons along wide channels, disappearing into the aurora on the other side. The Huangpu River was the only part that matched Lin Chia's impression of Huaihai City so far. Standing on the rooftop, Lin Chia's eyes reflected the entire reconstructed Huaihai City. He rubbed his chin with one hand as if pondering something. There should still be enough time. Let me make some preparations first. Lin Chia checked the time, then walked back down to the street and tapped a young man who was about to get on a bicycle. Brother, can I borrow your bike for a bit? The young man turned around, looking at Lin Chia strangely with wariness in his eyes. Who are you? Lin Chia beckoned to him, gesturing for him to come closer. After a moment's hesitation, the young man leaned in and then, a faint song came from beside his ear. The big windmill turns creaking and squeaking. The young man froze, his eyes quickly becoming unfocused, standing motionless like a statue. Ring ring. Lin Chia naturally mounted the bicycle, kicked off the stand and rode leisurely down the street. At this time it was the peak hour for factory workers returning home. Bicycles moved densely on the streets, generally at a slow pace. Only one figure glided through the bicycle flood like a ghost. What no one noticed was that as the bicycle's tires rolled over the ground, the darkness of night seeped into the road surface like ink, disappearing without a trace. Lin Chia navigated between streets based on the city layout he had roughly memorized in his mind. The tires rolling over the ground were like a black pen, gradually tracing some extremely complex and enormous pattern in this busy city. Meanwhile, Qingyu stood in front of a brand-new office building with a black coffin on his back and a radio hanging at his waist. Carrying a coffin on the street would definitely attract attention in any era, but as Qingyu stood there, passers-by didn't even glance at him as if he didn't exist in their vision at all. This place looks familiar. Jiang Er's voice came from the radio. This is the base of the 007 squad stationed in Huaihai City. Qingyu pushed up his glasses and said, if a disaster is about to happen in a city, Those most likely to know in advance and take precautions would be the local night watchman squad. Now that we have no clues at all, we can only start looking for breakthroughs here. I see, Jiang Er suddenly realized. However, although the 007 squad's office will be in this building decades later, that doesn't mean they're here in this era too. What if they moved in much later? That's possible too. Let's go in and see. And Qingyu carried the black coffin and walked straight into the building. The security guard yawning at the entrance didn't notice anyone entering at all, just leaning back in his chair and staring blankly outside. The entire first-floor lobby was empty except for the security guard at the door. And Qingyu went up the stairs and, following his memory, quickly found the office where the 007 squad had once received them. The office door was half open with faint conversation coming from inside. Just as Qingyu was about to step in, a figure behind the door frowned suddenly and turned his head, his voice exploding like thunder in the room. "Who's out there?" Bang! A broad blade pierced through the wooden door like lightning, sending splinters flying everywhere, the sharp cold light heading straight for Qinyu's face. Seeing the blade coming at him, Qingyu showed no panic at all. Instead, a faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. "Found them." Clang. A shadow flashed from Qinyu's palm, followed by the sound of metal striking metal. The incoming broadsword was instantly deflected, spinning through the air before embedding itself in the white wall behind. 5 figures darted out from the office, surrounding Qingyu in the center within moments. To Qinyu's surprise, these 5 figures weren't wearing dark red cloaks, but instead uniform brown zhongshan suits. They stood straight, their gazes fixed on Qingyu with clear hostility. It seems that in this era the cloak, one of the Night Watcher's 3 signature items, hasn't appeared yet. Qingyu thought to himself. A bald, burly man turned to look at his broadsword stuck in the wall, his expression extremely unpleasant. Among the group, a tall, thin man glanced at the coffin behind Qingyu, narrowing his eyes. Skulking figure clearly up to no good. "You must be a member of that ancient god church that's been causing such a commotion lately? We've been searching everywhere for you people, but I never expected you'd dare to barge directly into our Night Watcher headquarters. You're simply asking to die." Several waves of mental power surged through the corridor, battle imminent. "Wait." And Qingyu immediately spoke up. "I'm not from the ancient god church, I'm a Night Watcher too." As he finished speaking, Qingyu pulled out an emblem from his pocket and showed it to everyone. The group paused briefly, looking down at Qinyu's palm. One of them picked up the emblem, examined it carefully, then broke into a cold laugh. He then took out an emblem from his own pocket, smaller than Qinyu's, and waved it at him. "These ancient god church fools can't even make a decent copy. Kid, open your eyes wide and see what a real Night Watcher emblem looks like." Qingyu stared at the emblem in his hand, frozen in place. The emblem in his hand was not only smaller than Qinyu's, but also obviously cruder. Even the words, "If darkness finally falls," on the back of the emblem were written with some kind of pen rather than laser engraved. I can explain the difference in emblem styles later, but surely the ghost god inducer inside can prove my identity? Qingyu quickly regained his composure and continued. "Ghost god inducer? What's that?" Qingyu. Not only were there no cloaks, but even the ghost god inducer hadn't appeared in this era? Among the Night Watcher's 3 signature items, the only thing that could possibly prove his identity was the straight knife. But when Qingyu joined the Night Watchers, he hadn't taken a straight knife but rather a complete set of surgical knives made of the same material. Now he truly had no way to explain himself. "Where is your captain?" "I need to see your captain," Qingyu took a deep breath and calmly spoke. "Our captain is on vacation." "Why are you even answering him?" The bald man forcefully pulled his broadsword from the wall, murderous intent flashing in his eyes. "Let's subdue him first, then force him to reveal the whereabouts of the other ancient god church members." "Qingyu, what do we do now?" Jiang Er's voice came through the radio. Qingyu's gaze swept across the 5 people before him with their surging mental power, and after a moment he sighed helplessly. "Friendly negotiation seems impossible. Let's calm them down first, then question them slowly." In Qingyu's eyes, a deep gray hue rapidly spread. "Shishiu!" The radio hanging at Lin Chia's waist suddenly emitted a burst of static. Lin Chia raised an eyebrow, immediately applied the brakes, stopped his bicycle by the roadside, set up the kickstand and placed the radio on the bicycle seat. He patted the radio. "Jiang Air, is that you?" "Yes, it's me." The static ended and Jiang Air's voice came through. "How are things on your end? Have you found anything?" "Not much progress yet, but except for the captain who's still on vacation, Qingyu has already taken down all the members of Squad 007 from this era." Lin Chia asked in confusion, "Why did he take them down?" Qingyu wanted to ask about the disaster, but couldn't prove his identity. They thought he was from the Ancient God Church, so he decided to use some force first. Ancient God Church? Does the Ancient God Church already exist at this time? Lin Chia pondered for a moment. What's happening now? The Squad 007 members still won't talk, so Qingyu went directly to the archives to check the records. Jiang Air paused for a moment. "He asked me to tell you that there are suspected Ancient God Church members active in Huaihai City." Lin Chia's eyes narrowed slightly. "Alright, I understand. Keep in touch." The radio went silent as Jiang Air continued to notify Bailey Pang Pang and Chao Yuan. Lin Chia stood alone by the street, deep in thought. Ancient God Church members active in Huaihai City. Could this disaster have been instigated by the Ancient God Church again? After a moment, Lin Chia got back on his bicycle and continued to complete the magic patterns he had been inscribing throughout Huaihai City, though now he kept an extra eye out, his gaze constantly searching along both sides of the street. So far, Lin Chia had dealt with the Ancient God Church quite a bit, and he would certainly recognize some of their members at a glance. However, they were now more than 40 years before their time, so most of the church members he had encountered probably weren't born yet, or were still children. But there are always those who, having reached a certain level, enjoy much longer lifespans, so some might already exist in this era. Time passed as Lin Chia rode his bicycle, having circled almost the entire inner area of Huaihai City. Just as he was about to leave this area to continue searching the outskirts, his gaze fell on the opposite side of the street and he suddenly froze. He abruptly stopped his bicycle, blinked hard to make sure he wasn't seeing things, and his expression immediately became peculiar. After thinking for a moment, Lin Chia crossed the road with his bicycle, locked it to a stone post by the roadside, and walked into a shabby little noodle shop. "Boss, a bowl of egg noodles, please." "Coming right up." Lin Chia, one hand in his pocket, casually sat down at a table near the door, his gaze casually sweeping across the small shop. At the table opposite him, a young man in a suit with slicked-back hair was earnestly eating a steaming bowl of shredded pork noodles. Seemingly sensing Lin Chia's gaze, he looked up and made eye contact with Lin Chia, who quickly averted his eyes. The young man frowned slightly, scrutinizing Lin Chia for a long while before returning to his noodles with some suspicion. Lin Chia opened his mouth, pretending to yawn to hide his uncontrollably rising smile. "Who would have thought you were actually quite cute when you were young?" Murmuring,